As Heinrich looked out over the skyline of Berlin from his apartment window, memories came flooding back. The city, now a bustling mix of sleek skyscrapers, lively cafes, and luxury cars, stood in stark contrast to the Berlin of his youth. He was 8 years old in 1945, during the last days of World War II, when he last stood in this very spot. At that time, the city lay in ruins. He could still clearly remember the sound of air raid sirens piercing the night, followed by the thunderous explosions of bombs that destroyed buildings and lives. His family had huddled together in their small basement, holding each other close as the world above them fell apart. When the bombing stopped, he and his mother would go out to search for food, navigating a landscape of rubble and despair. The streets were filled with hollow-eyed people, thin and desperate, scavenging for whatever they could find. Today, as Heinrich walked through Berlin's lively streets, it was almost impossible to connect these memories with the vibrant city he saw now. Elegant restaurants, packed with people enjoying gourmet meals, stood in stark contrast to his youth's breadlines and soup kitchens. Sleek, shiny luxury cars sped along roads that once bore the weight of tanks and military trucks. So how did Germany go from a nearly destroyed country in 1945 to Europe's economic powerhouse today? In the aftermath of World War I, Germany was left in a state of profound economic devastation. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, imposed severe reparations and territorial losses on Germany, which crippled its already fragile economy. The treaty demanded that Germany pay huge sums of money to the Allied powers, an amount so substantial that it far exceeded the nation's ability to pay. The treaty also required Germany to surrender key industrial territories, such as the coal-rich Saar Basin and the industrial regions of Alsace-Lorraine, further undermining its economic base. The financial impact of the Treaty of Versailles was immediate and severe. The loss of vital industrial regions meant a significant reduction in Germany's production capabilities, which was a critical blow to an economy already reeling from the costs of the war. The reparations payments strained the national budget, leading to a cycle of borrowing and debt that exacerbated the financial situation. The economic hardship was felt by the German population, who faced unemployment, poverty, and a sharp decline in living standards. The situation worsened in the early 1920s with the onset of hyperinflation. The German government, struggling to meet reparation payments and cover its expenses, resorted to printing money, leading to a rapid devaluation of the German mark. By 1923, the currency had become virtually worthless, with prices doubling every few days. Everyday goods such as bread and milk became prohibitively expensive, and people's savings were wiped out. The middle class, in particular, saw their wealth evaporate, leading to widespread social unrest and political instability. The hyperinflation crisis reached its peak in November 1923. It was so dire that $1 was worth a mind-boggling 4,210,500 million marks. Imagine needing wheelbarrows full of money just to buy basic necessities. In fact, the currency was so worthless that people burnt it to keep warm during winter months. This period of hyperinflation was one of the most infamous economic crises in history and had a profound psychological impact on the German people. Amidst this financial turmoil, the Weimar Republic faced severe political challenges. The economic hardship fueled dissatisfaction with the government and contributed to the rise of extremist political movements. The Republic, established after the abdication of Kaiser Wilhelm II, was seen by many as weak and incapable of addressing the nation's economic woes. This perception was exacerbated by the humiliating terms of the Treaty of Versailles, which many Germans viewed as a diktat, a dictated peace that they were forced to accept without negotiation. The economic instability provided fertile ground for radical parties on both the left and the right, including the nascent National Socialist German Workers' Party, which promised to restore Germany's economic and national pride. The economic landscape began to show signs of recovery with the implementation of the Dawes Plan in 1924. This plan, orchestrated by American banker Charles G. Dawes, restructured Germany's reparation payments and facilitated loans from American banks to stabilize the German economy. The infusion of foreign capital helped to stabilize the currency and revive industry and infrastructure. By the late 1920s, Germany was experiencing a period of relative economic stability and growth, often referred to as the Golden Twenties. However, this recovery was built on precarious foundations, heavily reliant on foreign loans and the global economic environment. The global economic downturn that began with the Wall Street crash of 1929 quickly reverberated through the German economy. The Great Depression brought about a sharp decline in global trade and investment, leading to a collapse in industrial production and a dramatic rise in unemployment. The German economy, still heavily dependent on foreign loans and exports, was particularly vulnerable. By 1932, unemployment had soared to nearly 30%, and the economic despair was palpable across the nation. The government's inability to effectively address the economic crisis led to further political instability and social unrest, weakening the Weimar Republic's position even more. The economic desperation and widespread unemployment of the Great Depression significantly contributed to the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party. The Nazis capitalized on the economic discontent by promising to restore Germany's economy, create jobs, and dismantle the Treaty of Versailles. Hitler's message of national rejuvenation resonated with a population battered by years of economic hardship and political instability. In January 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany, marking the beginning of a new and ominous chapter in German history. The rise of the Nazi regime under Adolf Hitler marked a significant shift in Germany's economic trajectory. The Nazi government implemented a series of radical economic policies aimed at revitalizing the economy and preparing the nation for war. One of the key components of this strategy was the concept of a war economy, which focused on rearmament and self-sufficiency. The Nazi regime's economic policies were initially successful in reducing unemployment and stimulating economic growth. Massive public works programs, such as the construction of the Autobahn, provided employment for millions of Germans and improved the nation's infrastructure. These projects not only created jobs, but also served as a means of military mobilization, allowing for the rapid movement of troops and equipment. The construction of the Autobahn network was emblematic of the regime's broader strategy to integrate economic development with military preparedness. Rearmament was a central pillar of the Nazi economic strategy. The regime embarked on an ambitious program to rebuild and expand Germany's military capabilities, in direct violation of the Treaty of Versailles. This included the production of tanks, planes, and other military hardware. The rearmament program created jobs and revitalized industries that had been struggling since the end of World War I. Factories that had lain dormant were once again buzzing with activity, and technological innovations in military engineering flourished. Ferdinand Porsche, an influential figure in the automotive industry, played a significant role in this rearmament effort. He was instrumental in developing military vehicles, including the Tiger tank, one of the most formidable tanks of the war. This period saw a convergence of technological advancement and military necessity, which temporarily boosted the German economy. The focus on military production extended to other areas of engineering and manufacturing. Aircraft production, for example, saw significant advancements under the direction of figures like Willy Messerschmitt. The development of advanced fighter planes, such as the Messerschmitt Bf 109, provided the Luftwaffe with a technological edge in the early years of the war. These engineering projects not only advanced Germany's military capabilities, but also drove economic activity and innovation in related industries. The war itself acted as an economic engine, driving demand for military supplies and creating jobs across various sectors. The military expansion required extensive logistical support, including transportation, communication, and supply chain management. This led to the mobilization of the entire economy towards the war effort, with both public and private sectors contributing to the cause. Industries that were not directly involved in manufacturing military hardware were often repurposed to support the war effort, ensuring that virtually every aspect of the economy was geared towards sustaining the military machine. Despite these economic gains, the focus on military production came at the expense of civilian industries and consumer goods. Resources were diverted towards the war effort, leading to shortages of everyday items and rationing for the general population. The Nazi regime prioritized military needs over civilian welfare, which created underlying economic imbalances. This strategy, while temporarily effective in boosting employment and industrial output, was unsustainable in the long term. As the war progressed, the economic costs began to mount. The initial successes of the Blitzkrieg campaigns, which relied on rapid and decisive military action, masked the growing strain on the German economy. The extended conflict, particularly on the Eastern Front against the Soviet Union, stretched Germany's resources thin. The demands of sustaining a prolonged war effort led to increased labor shortages, which the regime attempted to address through the use of forced labor from occupied territories. The tide of war began to turn against Germany, with significant defeats at Stalingrad and El Alamein. These losses not only had military implications, but also strained the economy further. The destruction of military equipment and the loss of human capital in these battles weakened Germany's ability to sustain its war effort. By the conclusion of World War II in 1945, Germany was in complete economic devastation. The extensive Allied bombing campaigns had systematically targeted and destroyed key industrial cities, transportation networks, and infrastructure, leaving the country in ruins. Cities like Berlin, Hamburg, and Dresden were heavily bombed, with significant portions of their industrial and residential areas reduced to rubble. The loss of infrastructure, factories, and homes not only disrupted daily life, but also crippled the nation's ability to produce goods and services essential for recovery. The war had also taken a massive toll on the German population. Millions of lives were lost, and many more were displaced. The social fabric of the nation was torn apart, with families separated and communities shattered. The loss of a significant portion of the working-age population further compounded the economic challenges, as there were fewer people available to rebuild the country. Those who survived faced a daily struggle for basic necessities, such as food, water, and shelter. The division of Germany into occupation zones by the Allied powers further complicated the economic situation. Each occupying force implemented different policies and approaches to governance and economic recovery. The Eastern Zone, controlled by the Soviet Union, faced severe exploitation as the Soviets dismantled factories and transported industrial equipment to the USSR as war reparations. This extraction of resources and industrial capacity left the Eastern German economy in an even more precarious state. In the Western zones, the situation was somewhat different. The United States, United Kingdom, and France focused on rebuilding efforts, but faced significant challenges due to the sheer scale of destruction and the lack of resources. The infrastructure required to support a functioning economy, such as roads, bridges, railways, and ports, was largely destroyed or damaged. The disarray in the transportation network hindered the distribution of food and goods, exacerbating shortages and leading to widespread hunger and malnutrition. The German economy was also burdened by the loss of territories that had been integral to its industrial output. Regions such as Silesia, with its coal and steel industries, were ceded to Poland. The loss of these territories meant a reduction in available natural resources, further hampering economic recovery. Additionally, the requirement to pay reparations to the Allied powers drained what little economic resources remained, preventing any significant investment in reconstruction. The currency in Germany had also lost its value by the end of the war. The Reichsmark was practically worthless, leading to a barter economy in which goods were exchanged directly without money. This lack of a stable currency hampered trade and economic transactions, making it difficult to revive commercial activity and rebuild the economy. The absence of a functional financial system contributed to the overall economic paralysis. Despite these overwhelming challenges, the groundwork for recovery began to take shape, albeit slowly. In the Western zones, efforts to stabilize the economy included initiatives to restore basic infrastructure and provide emergency relief to the population. International aid, although initially limited, began to trickle in, providing some respite from the immediate post-war hardships. However, it was clear that substantial and coordinated efforts would be required to revive the shattered economy and rebuild the country from the ground up. The immediate post-war period in Germany was marked by a struggle for survival amidst ruins, with the economy in tatters, infrastructure destroyed, and the social fabric torn apart. The division of the country, loss of territories, worthless currency, and the psychological impact of defeat all posed significant obstacles to recovery. Nevertheless, these dark days set the stage for a remarkable transformation that would unfold in the years to come, as Germany embarked on a journey to pick up the pieces and rebuild itself into a leading economic power. The immediate post-World War II period was marked by efforts to stabilize the economy and provide relief to the population. The Western Allies, particularly the United States, recognized that a stable and prosperous Germany was essential for the overall stability of Europe. This understanding led to the implementation of the Marshall Plan in 1948, a massive economic aid program designed to rebuild European economies, including Germany's. Under the Marshall Plan, the United States provided over $12 billion, approximately $130 billion in today's dollars, in economic assistance to Western European countries. West Germany received around $1.5 billion in aid, which was used to rebuild infrastructure, revitalize industries, and stabilize the currency. This financial injection was crucial in jump-starting the German economy, providing the necessary capital for investment and growth. The Marshall Plan funds were used to rebuild essential infrastructure such as roads, bridges, and railways, which were critical for the movement of goods and services. Additionally, the plan facilitated the importation of machinery and raw materials necessary for industrial production. This influx of resources helped revive industries that had been dormant or destroyed during the war. One of the most significant steps in Germany's recovery was the currency reform of 1948. The introduction of the Deutsche Mark replaced the worthless Reichsmark, providing a stable and reliable currency that restored confidence in the economy. This reform was accompanied by the lifting of price controls and rationing, which had stifled economic activity. The new currency and the removal of these restrictions unleashed pent-up consumer demand and revitalized the market economy. The economic policies implemented by Ludwig Erhard, the Director of Economic Affairs in the Western Zones, and later the Federal Republic's First Minister of Economic Affairs, were pivotal. Erhard championed free market principles, deregulation, and competition. His policies promoted entrepreneurship, investment, and innovation, which laid the foundation for the so-called Wirtschaftswunder, or economic miracle. Erhard's approach was characterized by a belief in the power of the market to allocate resources efficiently. He reduced government intervention in the economy, allowing businesses to operate with greater freedom. This policy shift encouraged private investment and led to the rapid expansion of industries. Small and medium-sized enterprises flourished, contributing to economic diversification and resilience. Germany's industrial base, though heavily damaged, retained a significant amount of expertise and technological know-how. The recovery period saw the revival and modernization of key industries, such as steel, automotive, and chemical manufacturing. Companies like Volkswagen, Siemens, and BASF played crucial roles in this resurgence. These firms not only rebuilt their facilities, but also embraced new technologies and production methods that enhanced efficiency and productivity. The automotive industry, in particular, became a symbol of Germany's economic recovery. Volkswagen's Beetle, initially developed before the war, became a global success story. Its production ramped up significantly, providing employment and driving economic growth. The success of Volkswagen and other automotive manufacturers underscored Germany's ability to innovate and compete in the global market. Moreover, the emphasis on education and vocational training ensured a skilled workforce capable of driving industrial growth. The dual education system, which combines theoretical education with practical training, became a cornerstone of Germany's economic model. This system produced highly skilled workers who contributed to the technological advancement and competitiveness of German industries. Germany's integration into the global economy was another critical factor in its recovery. The establishment of the Federal Republic of Germany, West Germany, in 1949, and its subsequent alignment with Western Europe and the United States facilitated trade and investment. The country's strategic position in Europe made it a hub for commerce and industry. West Germany became a founding member of the European Coal and Steel Community in 1951, which later evolved into the European Economic Community and ultimately the European Union. This integration fostered economic cooperation and trade liberalization, allowing German industries to access larger markets and benefit from economies of scale. The removal of trade barriers and the establishment of a common market enhanced Germany's export-oriented growth. The German economy's export focus became a driving force behind its recovery. German manufacturers produced high-quality goods that were in demand worldwide, from automobiles and machinery to chemicals and electronics. The country's reputation for precision engineering and quality craftsmanship bolstered its position in international markets, leading to sustained economic growth. The concept of the social market economy, championed by Ludwig Erhard and Chancellor Konrad Adenauer, combined free market capitalism with social policies aimed at ensuring a fair distribution of wealth and social security. This approach created a balance between economic efficiency and social equity, contributing to social stability and cohesion. The German welfare state provided a safety net for citizens, including healthcare, unemployment benefits, and pensions. These social policies helped mitigate the economic risks faced by individuals and families, fostering a sense of security and trust in the economic system. The social market economy model became a hallmark of Germany's post-war recovery, promoting both economic growth and social well-being. By the late 1950s and 1960s, West Germany had firmly established itself as one of the world's leading industrial nations. The sustained economic growth during this period was characterized by low inflation, low unemployment, and rising living standards. The country's GDP grew at an impressive rate, and the German mark became one of the most stable and respected currencies in the world. The foundations laid during the immediate post-war years enabled Germany to navigate subsequent economic challenges, such as the oil crises of the 1970s, with resilience. The emphasis on innovation, export-oriented growth, and social stability ensured that Germany remained a competitive and prosperous nation in the global economy. Germany stands today as a prominent global economic powerhouse, distinguished by its robust industrial foundation, technological advancement, and substantial international influence. Emerging from a remarkable post-World War II reconstruction effort, it has ascended to become Europe's largest economy and the world's fourth largest by nominal GDP. At the heart of its economic prowess lies a diverse industrial sector encompassing automotive manufacturing, engineering, chemical production, and cutting-edge technologies. The automotive industry, anchored by iconic brands like Volkswagen, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz, echoes Germany's economic strength, driving global innovation and production. The industry employs over 800,000 individuals directly and supports millions more across Europe through extensive supply chains. The country's economic resilience is supported by its focus on technological innovation. It dedicates significant resources to research and development and collaborates with universities, research institutions, and private enterprises to promote innovation across various sectors. Its education system plays a key role in this success by nurturing a highly skilled workforce through technical and vocational training alongside academic excellence. Additionally, apprenticeship programs and partnerships between industry and academia facilitate smooth transitions from education to employment, fostering talent and perpetuating learning in advanced fields. Have thoughts on how Germany rebuilt itself after World War II? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to never miss an update.